Hi, I have in front of me here a 4-channel AHD Full HD DVR. Okay, so this is a really high-end DVR. It will support both the new 1.3 megapixel AHD cameras that we're selling, but also it's backward compatible and it can be used with older, we'll say 700 TVLs. And actually, for that purpose, we've set it up here to demonstrate. What I'm going to do, the format of the video will be, I'm going to give an overview of exactly what comes in the outer box. We'll then come along and look at the physical hardware in some detail, and then we'll go through the demonstration here and just bring up the menus, etc. The user interface in this is really beautiful, and the picture resolution that's capable with this AHD is far superior to anything. Even the 960H DVRs is a long way behind this, so it really is a premium product, and it's competing directly indeed in picture quality with the IP technology. So let's come along here and look. It comes in this outer box here. There's a power unit with it. It's 3-pin, 12 volt, 3.3 amps. What we have here is we have a user manual that's in English. We have a a CD here with software, etc. on it. And what we have here is, for adding a hard drive, we have screws for mounting these railings. We have a SATA cable, and we could add, we'll say, up to a 3 terabyte hard drive inside. We have a set of AAA batteries here and the remote control. Now what I'm going to do for the next part is I'm just going to come to the front of the desk and just point out the basic buttons and features that are on it. There's a USB port there, which is quite good. We also come along here, and what we have is we have buttons left and right, up and down, and an enter button. Okay, so it just allows us to access the menus and move around it. Generally, you'd obviously be using a mouse or the remote control to do this. So, but we have the full range of functionality here, from backups to mute, menu, utility, status, record, play, and indeed we can also operate PTZs directly from here as well. This particular DVR can actually operate 4 PTZs independently, so it's quite impressive. So what we're going to do here is I'll just rotate around the DVR, we'll look at the back of it here, and we'll just look at the inputs into it in terms of cameras. So there's 4 audios in, and there's 4 BNC in for the video, and we've 2 audio outs, and we've 1 BNC output here. Okay. In terms then of extra things that we've done, there's a relay output on it, so we could actually have this connect to a gate or data. So through the DVR we'll be able to operate that. If somebody's at a gate, we can press a button and it'll actually open the gate. And also we have a series of alarms there as well, which we're capable of operating. So you know, we can call something to trigger an alarm. What we have then at the end is the RS485s, which is obviously for controlling the PTZ, so they'll all just be wired directly in there. In terms then, there's a VGA output on it, which could be used obviously directly to a monitor. Most people now are obviously going with the HDMIs, particularly if there's audio on it as well, which may be a feature that some people will be using. There's an IR option here, so we could actually lock this DVR into a cabinet, put on an IR cable, it'll just slot directly in there, and we could just operate it directly from what do you call it, a mouse or a remote control via cable. Okay. What we have here then is we have a LAN connection, because we obviously want to network it, and then the USB port here as well. So what we can do here is we can add this for setting up, adding external hard drives, updating firmware, all the rest of it. And then finally what we have is the power input here, which the power unit I showed previously go to. So off camera here we have two cameras. The one on the left hand side is our AHD camera, and a good but not quite as clear picture on the right hand side is our 700 TVL. Okay, so I come along here and we'll say click directly in here and just bring it up like this, and I can right click here and we can have the option of 4 or the main screens, or we can have an inset screen in here, so you can just see it here, and the other one. And then what we could do here is the main, we can go through the different ones here, the automatic sequencing, the backups, the time search, and they're pretty handy, system logs, playback, the PTZ control, and also the zoom in functionality on it. But what we'll do here is we'll go in here to the configure menu, because it's the main menu we'll have on it. Okay, so we'll just go through the main functionalities on this. So we click on here, it's looking for a password here, so it's simply 1 2 3 4 5 is the default password, and I just hit return on it. Oh, it's actually 1 2 3 4 5 6. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Apologies. So we're straight in here, and we can just see we have the different setups on it. It's telling the settings on it, auto lockout after a certain time, all the rest of it, and it gives a feature where we can automatically reboot it every day. So some people want to do this simply because a fix to certain problems on it is to be able to do it, and you can actually set this up in a network where you could log in and actually activate that, force it into a thing, and we can get the box to reboot remotely there. So you can set the time, date, etc. that you want to do that. We'll just go into here, and it just gives the event setup and how you can go about things that can trigger it, that if there's a video loss, it'll stop recording, that we can have a buzzer pop-up thing, we can have a motion detection here, and once again it's set up in each one of the 4 cameras, or a general overset here, and in terms of the sensors here, we can have various sensor things. So it's given a very high level of modularity in terms of what we can do with it here and directly into the system there. So what you can do is you can set up that it'll send an alarm or send an email, send a text message, things like that. So that can all be configured on the system. So it's great flexibility there. In terms of the recording here, what's interesting here is, remember we showed that the high definition camera, the full 720 was 1.3 megapixel was on camera channel 1. Channel 2 here, it automatically configured and set a lower setting here for the PAL camera that we had. Okay, in terms of we have settings here where we can reduce the settings automatically, or we can reduce the number of frames or quality here, or choose to record audio or not. Okay, so it gives just total flexibility here. There's always a play-off between, we'll say, how quickly your hard drive is going to be filling up, to the picture quality and also the number of frames you're taking on it. So it gives a lot of flexibility in regards to that. In terms of, we'll say, if we just look at this camera here, we can actually come along and we can just see the impact, we'll say, of changing, we'll say, sharpness or contrast or things like that. So sharpness not so much, but the brightness here, we can make it very bright or very dull indeed. Okay, and we just exit out there. So it has that directly from the control menu here. So that part, again, when you're trying to do setups, makes it extremely easy. We have the system setup here. We don't have it currently networked here, but you'd obviously want to do that. And it's also just given about the hard drives, etc., the model number, all the rest of it. So we'll just exit out there again, just into the next one here. And this would be mainly for PTZ setup here. You can set the channel thing on it. We can set the PTZ ID on it, the baud rate, etc. And it's obviously defaults on the Pelco thing. So we can just flick through each of them here. You can see the channel number setting here and the timestamp feature on it. Just exit out. We'll just go back in here. The hard drives we haven't added on, but we'd obviously have it for up to 3 terabytes, and you can just change the settings here in terms of the video preservation period, etc. So we'll have later videos in this series that'll cover these in more detail. We just have the network set up here, so there's a lot of flexibility there, from 3G to static IPs, the DHCP, all the rest of it. We can work all the way through it here. There's just a static IP there where you can just enter, and once again we're going to have further videos in this series on this. And then finally we have the user account here, and that's where we add on additional users. Okay, so you see, this is just sort of touching on the overall thing here, but definitely of all the camera interfaces we've used to date, the picture resolution on this and the general flow and ease of setup is far superior to what I've seen on anything else. So this really is a huge step forward. AHD DVRs are coming in obviously at this point at a higher price point. They're a new technology and they're a better technology. But the great thing about them is that the skills that you need in terms of the cabling, the cameras, the setup, all the rest of it, much thing. And a lot of people will say, who might be nervous to go into IP because of all the problems with the setup, and particularly troubleshooting with IP is nightmarish if you don't have a lot of network experience. Something like this is far more straightforward. Now we have a range of DVRs in this. The 4 and the 8 probably the most popular, but it's something that's going to become more and more popular in the coming period. So that's it anyway, an overview of the 4-channel full HD DVR.